Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
So we got our tube welded. We took our 2.5 inches out. Now I want to show you something here before we go any further. This is your standard stock Super Beetle strut that we're leaking all over the table. I want to be quick with this. And this is our Scirocco, Volkswagen Scirocco strut. Do you see the length difference in that? Do you see that right there? Do you see what I'm talking about? The Scirocco stock, the Scirocco, Volkswagen Scirocco shock is bigger in diameter and also shorter. So by cutting our tube down, we took 2.5 inches out. Here's what we took out right here. It made our tube shorter. So now we can go ahead and use the Scirocco shock inside the tube. Now, what we would do if we were going to use the original shock, we would go ahead and slide that in there, and then we'd have to cut this off, this part of the tube off right here, and then add that in here to compensate for the length. The best way to do it is to take these shocks right here, throw them in the fucking trash, and go spend the $50 to install the Scirocco shock. Just like that right there. So what I'm going to do now, I'll go ahead and install everything back on it that holds the shock in place. Once that's done, I'll take them up there, I'll get my springs put back on them over at Oliver's Automotive, and then when we return, we're going to install our lowered shock, strut shocks, using our stock springs, and we're not done there. Because after we install that, then we got something else we got to do. I'll see you then. Alright, we ran into a little bit of a problem, and we ran into the tube. Even though the Scirocco shock fits in there, we still got to put this block in here. This is the block that goes on top of our shock, and it's got an O-ring right here so it won't leak. And then of course you got the cap that screws on. Well, putting this on here, it's actually a 1/4 inch too short. Because remember when we measured that, it came out to be almost 3/4, a little bit more. Well, it came out to be a little less than 5/8. I mean, what was it, 1/2 inch. So instead of cutting this tube off and adding a piece in and all that, what I'm going to do is I'm taking this aluminum block here and I'm actually shaving the bottom of it so it'll recess down in there farther. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a 1/4 inch or more off of this, then cutting our tube and welding it all up to compensate. Let's go ahead and see what we got. We'll stick our tube in here. And then we'll go ahead and get our shock inside. And hopefully it's going to go in. Bastard. There it goes. Okay, you got to be careful when you're doing this because you don't want that weld to go inside that tube. The shock fits very tight in there, so when you're welding that, if you can't weld that properly, let a professional weld that for you. Okay, now that we got our strut down inside there, we went ahead and shaved our aluminum block. It looks a little crooked. Let me go ahead and shave that a little bit more on one side. Look at, kind of crooked. Now, let's go ahead and stick our shock in here. Go down here with it instead. There we go. Alright. Oh, and then we'll go ahead and put this in here. Just like that. Tap it on there so it goes on. And then we can take our cap. And one thing about this cap, I want to be very specific with you about it. When you are working on these, you saw where I got pissed off, hollering, screaming, cussing, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. That's because when I was working on the other shock, this part of the tube rolled off the table and it landed on this threaded part here. Now what that does, that will bend that in. This is a very precise situation you got here. It's very tight and it's got very fine threads on it. It took me an hour and a half to clean that up and fix it properly so it would work again. So be very careful when you're doing this, especially on the threaded areas of your strut tower. So we'll go ahead and screw that on there, just like so. And believe me, the other one wasn't that easy to get on. It's a fucking nightmare. We gotta get that on nice and tight, because that's what holds our shock in place. Where did Loser put my fucking pliers? Loser, what the fuck? Alright, here we go. I'll get that on tight. Nice and tight, snug. Don't want that to come off. And all this work that you see me doing can be performed at your house. The only tool, there you go. The only tool that you will need, and as you can see, everything works just fine. The only tool that you'll need besides hand tools is an air compressor and a welder to do this. There's a lot of people that think that if you cut the spring that it's going to lower your car down. Bullshit. All that does is fuck your car up. You want to go ahead and geometrically, this is where all the lowering happens, is down here below your shock cup. This is where the lowering happens, not up here, okay, because all you're doing there is fucking your suspension up and it's going to ride like a rock. When we get this all together, this thing should ride just like factory. And there's, like I said, there's one more thing that we got to do to it. I'm going to show you that. And this thing should be road ready when we get done with it. Let me run up there to Oliver's, up to Daryl's Automotive, and get these springs put on. I'll be back. So this is basically where we're at now. This is actually a two-man job that we're doing here because we got to put the strut up inside here and we got to put the floor jack under here. We got to have the brake assembly right here like that. And you basically get the fucking idea what's going on here. So if Loser could come over here, we'll be on our way to success. because this is not an easy fucking job. Alright, if you can bring the floor jack, put it on this. Alright, that's good right there for now. Okay, what I got to do is I got to take the strut, I'm going to put it on here, it's got to go inside here, and then we got to line all these bolts and holes up. And it's also got to go in here at the same time.
Jack, bolts.
And looky here, these have got to be lined up in the holes as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to go like this first.
Top first.
If you can look up in there and get those lined up for me. I can't see them. Okay, you got all three of them on? All right. Now, loser can go ahead and start jacking that up. There you go, come on. Yeah, it's got to go way up in there, bub. Way up in there. Putting all this bottom part back on that you can't see because we got the jack and everything, that's the difficult part. Because what we got to do is we got to line that up in there to get our bolts all lined up. So maybe if loser can get his act together, we might be able to get this done. Okay, let me try to get this. You can jack it up while I'm tapping it. You can go ahead and jack it up, loser. Okay, get some pressure on it. There you go, hold it. Hold it. This isn't fucking... See here? Look.
Hey, that's a good looking hammer.
This is the hammer we need for this.
Not lined up.
It's going in. This has got to go up, dude. Look.
There we go.
There it goes.
Hey.
Okay, now, if you can let the jack down so I can line this plate back up. Hold it. Don't let that fall out. Just hang on. I'm going to get this lined up. Is that it right there? All right, jack it up slow. Slowly. Easy. Okay, hold on now. Let me put a bolt in here. Okay, now. Right. I think we got it. All right, there's one. Okay, let's get this one. Let's get this one started. Oh, shit.
Better. I won't say it's there yet, but it looks better.
Yes, it's in. All right. Am I right? Are you familiar with what jerry rigging is? Half an ass in it. And then
Without scratching the car,
you
probably.
can go ahead and let the jack down. We got to put this back in
Put
here.
it down before I tighten the bolts.
Huh?
I think I should tighten the bolts before I let it down.
Yeah, go ahead. And then we got to take that cap off. Can you go get them big channel lock pliers, please? They're on that table back there where I was using them. That cable's almost there, look. Okay. You see how the speedometer cable works on this thing? It works off this hub right here, loser. You didn't know that, did you? Huh. We got to put a pin on that.
Back in the days before
All right.
off the engine.
Jack it down, bring it over there. We got our struts in, we've lowered our car 2.5 inches, and Tony keeps raising my fucking chairs up. Leave my fucking chairs alone. There's one more thing, actually two more things, but we're going to go with one right now. And the one other thing that needs to be done, and people don't realize this, is that the, hey Tony, come here. Please. Never mind, I got it. Is that the sway bar on the Volkswagen Super Beetle is very, very light duty. And with the stock suspension, it works great. But when you are lowering your car, you are putting more pressure on all of your suspension. So what we have to do is we have to upgrade our suspension to the 1 1/8 thick. Do you see what I'm saying? And another thing about this sway bar versus the stock one is this is precisely measured and cut to bring all the camber and caster back into the position that it was at the stock original height. Without doing this, you will not have a good sturdy ride, and you will be all over the road like a fucking clown car, for instance. And we don't want that. So we are going to go ahead and change this out and take the old one out. Let's get her done, Tony. Give me my impact, hook it up, let's get it off. Tight. Just lock it. Now, do we got the impact over here still for the wheels?
No.
Go get them with a 3/4 socket. Get the cap, put it on the frame in there. Ready to grab that stand out of there, Tony. Now, I went 2.5 inches. I took 2.5 inches out, so it should only drop at 2.5 inches because I took it out of the bottom, not the top. You see what I'm saying? So cross our fingers. 2.5 inches should set the car where it has a very, very minor rake to it and should look good. Let's see what it looks like. Buddy, let me tell you something. I can tell that motherfucker's dropped down considerably, dude. So that's the way that you lower a Super Beetle. That's the professional way. We'll get a good look at this car when it's all done. If you look at the car, you can see that it now rides level. You can see that it's a level ride. It doesn't stick up in the front end, and it looks like it's going to be a nice presentable ride. I didn't want to go too low with this. I didn't want to make it where it was just you know, exotically out there in the fucking field where it looked like it was eating the weeds. And I think we accomplished what we wanted. A 2.5 inch drop on a Super Beetle is going to give it a nice, even, clean ride and a nice firm ride. Using the parts that we did, using the Scirocco shocks, all right, we used our Scirocco shocks, and we also replaced our sway bar, which is a precise sway bar from top-line Volkswagen products, designed to bring the camber and caster all back into existence where it's supposed to be. This thing should run awesome. Now there is one more thing that you can do, and you can add these bushings. These bushings go into the spindle. This is our spindle where the tie rod end links to. This would be the bottom and this the top, and then of course the tie rod goes from the bottom down. And what that does, that even gives you a more precise, accurate alignment. But we're going to go ahead and try to see what happens without it first, and if it runs well enough, we're not going to install these, but I do have them just in case. So if you're looking to lower your Super Beetle and you've always wondered how the fuck is that done, now you fucking know. My friend Pete showed you how it's done. You can see the Super Beetle behind me. It sits with a nice, good, even rake. Can you tell a difference, loser?
Yeah.
You can?
Yeah.
I can tell 100% difference. The front end on Super Beetles look like shit. That's why people don't like Super Beetles, because they sit up in the fucking air. They look like a hoopty ride. But now my friend Pete showed you how to fix your ride. Take it easy. My friend Pete, your friend Pete, showing you everything you need to know and more.
Let me help you move this in before I go.
Do what?
Do you want help moving that in before I go?
Well, fucking A right, dude. That's a heavy hood. Hang on.
The Super Beetle's a bitch. It's a bitch car. It's a bitch car that belongs in the fucking gutter with Sammy Salami's where that cocksucker belongs. Hoopty ride cocksucker sucking motherfucking cocks. I gotta go Sammy Salami straight out of Miami. You cocksucker son of a bitch is what you are, you fucking bastard.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.